All right, readers, you might be wondering, how do I have an August book haul if I was on a no buy August? So I'm about to tell you. So I made it through so far. I have 4 days left, I think, as I'm filming this to get through no buy August, but I have no doubt I'm going to make it. I'm not even going to order my book of the month selections, even though I know what I want until after the 1st of September or on the 1st of September. And I have some books that I did not purchase. I did not pay for them. Also, no one bought books for me, so it's not that somebody helped me cheat or anything like that. I absolutely have gotten these in unique ways, but not so unique. You won't be surprised when I share with you how this happened. So let's get to these new books that I have now. The first one is Bad Date by Ellery Lloyd. This was one of my Amazon first read picks, and I had no idea what this book was about. I had never heard of this book before, and so I said, well, I'll give it a shot. It's to be published on September 1st, and it is a short story. And it is about Faye Roper, who's divorced, and she's a very famous actress, and she's been really unlucky. She's had a lot of really awful men in her life, and they're just terrible. They're super fans, and they are stalking her, and they're trying to date her, and it's crazy. So her best friend Poppy, I love that name, decides to help her, and they're going to change the game, and she's going to join a dating app, which is very exclusive, and I guess under a false identity, so nobody will be able to figure out that it's her, and they will decide to date her or like her just because of who she's showing up as in the dating app. But Oliver takes the bait, and Oliver likes to sort of play around with these factual things as well. So the tagline for this that maybe sums it all up is, and only one of them can win. It sounds really great, and I'm really excited that I got that. Another book I got from my Amazon first picks. And again, this is if you're a Prime member, you get to choose from about usually five books that you can get for free. And the short story was an add-on. So I got Cold Island, and this is number one in a series that is the Detective Tommy Kelly series, and it was written by Peter Colt. This has a 4.03 rating on Goodreads, which is really good. So there's a murder victim who was very young on Nantucket Island, and he's discovered after 35 years the remains of this child. And so this detective has to try to solve this murder, which you can imagine is really difficult. So Tommy Kelly is called in on the case, and they have discovered these skeletal remains on a construction site. And so no child during that period of time was ever reported missing. So that makes this very, very difficult to figure out. Now, he partners with another detective named Jo Harris, and she's really not happy about this other guy coming in. She's more seasoned probably, or maybe she's never met Tommy before. I don't know, but she's not a big fan. And it's also, their investigation is just creating more and more question. They have no idea what's happening. And this community is not giving up a lot of information. So there's a lot of secrets, also pulling Tommy into what it is described as a very dark place. And so I think this would be really good. And again, it comes out on September 1st. This one is short as well. It's 238 pages. So I might be able to soar through this during series September. We shall see, but this would be the first in a series. And so, I'm kind of trying to focus on the ones that I haven't read as much of. The next one is Olivetti by Allie Millington. This is a book I had on my want to read shelf for a while. It came out in 2024, March to be exact. So it's a backlist for me. This was 4.05 ratings on Goodreads recently. And this was a recommendation by my friend Crystal. She's in my book club with me, but she also was at the BookTube Besties retreat with me. And we all got to recommend a book that, we really enjoyed recently. And she recommended Olivetti. I had loved this cover and this premise. In fact, I may have added it on my most anticipated reads last March. I can't remember, but I think I probably did. That's probably when I added it to my Goodreads. But nevertheless, This one is middle grade mystery fantasy, and it's really lovely, magical realism as well. So this is about Olivetti, who is a typewriter, and he's living with and has been with the Brindle family for a long time, but they're no longer using him anymore because now they have a computer. So he's very depressed. Even 12-year-old Ernest, who used to use him a lot, no longer is coming to the typewriter. And so Olivetti is a bit sad. But then to make things worse, Beatrice, the mom, Beatrice Brindle, takes Olivetti to a pawn shop and leaves him there. They're not using him anymore, and so she's getting rid of him. And that also makes him very, very sad. But after she drops him off, she goes missing. And so then Olivetti is very concerned because she's gone and what will happen and who took her. What could have, gone to this extent. So Olivetti breaks the typewriterly code, which I didn't know was such a thing, and he tries to figure out what happened, and he starts messaging Ernest on the typewriter, which is breaking that code. And so they go across San Francisco, they follow clues, they maybe do some crazy things to try to figure out what happened to Beatrice, and Olivetti is on the case, and I think this absolutely sounds fantastic. So I want to get to that sooner than later. And of course, now it's on my Kindle, so hopefully I can. So this one is If Something Happens to Me by Alex Finley. I have read a couple of books, I think, by Alex Finley so far, and I enjoyed them. They were well done, and they were fast-paced, fairly. So I decided if Kindle Unlimited was going to offer this to me, I was going to take advantage of it. So because it's a nice, fast kind of popcorn read, probably. So this one has a 3.74 rating, and it has a number of people that have read it, so it's fairly well rated as well. Now, this one is about Ryan Richardson, and he's been in a terrible car accident, and the car door ripped open, and he was had a head injury, and he was just in terrible shape and was yanked from the car. And he hears his girlfriend Allie screaming, and she's taken out of the car. In his mind, that's what he thinks happened. So there's no trace of her or the car, and so he's trying to recover, but also now people are saying it was him, that he did something to Allie and that he's covering it up. But he did not do anything to Allie. And so he decides to try to find Allie. So he then gets a call from Allie's father saying that they finally found the car and that it was submerged in a lake in his hometown. And there are two dead men inside the car and a cryptic note that says, "If something happens to me." So he then goes around the world to try to find Allie. I'm not sure why he thinks that she's somewhere else in the world, but he does. So he goes to the UK, he goes to Tuscany, he goes to Paris, and trying to find out exactly what happened to her. And this one sounds really good to me. A couple of my friends have read it, and they seem to have really enjoyed it, so I'm all in for that. I just don't know when. And another one I got on Kindle Unlimited is Theo of Golden. Now, Krista has been talking about this book with from Books and Jams so much, and she loved it so much, and she's the one that pressed this one into my hands, and I am very excited because this one has a 4.69 rating. This was written by Alan Levy, and it seems like a very unique premise as well. This is a very good, I'm hearing this is a very good book club read. It is Christian fiction, contemporary, literary, and it's 399 pages, and this came out in 2023 in the fall. So this one is a mysterious stranger named Theo, and he arrives in this community or this town in the South named Golden, and everyone is wondering who he is and why he's there. So he ends up in a coffee shop, and in the coffee shop, as often is the case, there are a bunch of portraits on the walls. A lot of artists make a good living from displaying their art in different little places, especially coffee shops. This man, Theo, purchases one by one all 92 of those portraits, quietly bestowing them on their rightful owners. And in this process, they begin telling stories about each other, and they begin to get to know each other, and friendships are formed and lives are changed. And Krista can't say enough about this book, and other people that read it, because I think it was a group read for her Patreon or maybe just for her group, but they've all said that it was fantastic. But 4.69 is a really high rating. So this is set in Georgia, and I just think this is going to be lovely. So I added it to my Kindle Unlimited as well. All right, My Oxford Year by Julia Whalen. This book is written by an author that I really adore. I read another book by her, but she's also, you might remember her name from audio narration for a number of people, including Emily Henry. So I've always enjoyed Julia Whalen's voice, and I really enjoyed the book that I read by her. I think it was last year. I don't think it was this year, but goodness knows. I really struggle. It's called Thank You for Listening. So I really recommend that one as well. But My Oxford Year sounds really, really good. So it's a love story, it's a romance, contemporary, chick lit, adult, but I am ready for that as well. This was published in 2018, April of 2018, and I had heard nothing about it. And it is 350-ish pages, so not a big one either. This one is about Ella Durham. And since she was a young child, she had wanted to go to Oxford, and she's created her whole life around this dream, and she has succeeded. She's going to be able to go on a Rhodes Scholarship. So she's really worked hard for this, and she's very excited. And then even more exciting is that after she finishes her work at, or her studies at Oxford, then she'll be able to work in a presidential campaign in Washington, D.C. She'll be hired for that. They've given her a go-ahead for that as well. So what a great life, right? Until the first day of school, of classes, some guy, I think, bumps into her and ruins her shirt, and she's just really angry at this person, who then turns out to be her professor for English Lit. Probably the first class since she ruined her shirt. So she's not real happy with this person. But they end up at a bar, and they end up having some drinks, and they loosen up a little bit, and they start to talk. But apparently he has a very, very dark secret, Jamie Davenport, and I don't know what it is, but I'm sure that this will create, that enemies to maybe not lovers, but friends, and then maybe to, I don't know if this is going to work, to maybe lovers. I'm assuming this ends up really, really well. The reason I decided to read this is because it is a Netflix either series or movie at the moment. I saw it the other day. It was recommended to me on Netflix, and so I thought, well, that sounds great, but I don't want to watch it until I've read it. And I think it just came out, but I'm not certain about that. And again, it was on Kindle Unlimited, so I was able to get it for $0. So that's a lot of great books I got digitally from Kindle Unlimited. I'm very excited about that. Now let's talk about the books that I got for free in other ways. The first two are books that I got out of my little free library. I went down there with some books to put into it the other day. We have one in our neighborhood, I think I told you before, and I had never heard of one of these books, but I had of the other. They're in great condition, as you can see, and I'm super excited about that. So the first one I got is What Kind of Paradise by Janelle Brown. You can see this was a Book of the Month Club selection for someone, and they decided not to keep it. I hope that's not because it's not good. This is one that I had my eye on for a while. So this is a teenage girl who's living with her father, and they're kind of isolated in the middle of nowhere. And he gives her a lot of 19th century old books to read, and he tries to educate her by himself. And he doesn't want her to go to school. And her mother died a number of years ago. And so he's trying to kind of live off the grid with this child. So then Jane ages into a teenager, and she's starting to rebel a little bit, push back about living in this, isolated way with her dad. And she decides to, I guess, start investigating into some things. And she discovers that her mother was involved in this horrific crime, and that her father may be involved in it too. And she, I think, takes off to find out how she can, solve what happened to her mom and what happened, to look for answers about her past and her mother's death. And so it says, I love this, in this sweeping, suspenseful novel from author Janelle Brown, we see a young woman on a quest to understand how we come to know ourselves. It is a bold and unforgettable story about parents and children, nature and technology, innocence and knowledge, the losses of our past, and our dreams for the future. Sounds like I would absolutely love that. So we shall see. And then I got Sky Falling by Mia Mackenzie, which I had never heard of. Now, this one came out in June of 2021. I don't remember seeing it. I probably did and didn't choose it, but I just don't remember seeing it. So this is the complexities of family, queerness, race, and community. But this is also about a relationship. So 26-year-old Sky didn't think twice about selling her eggs and happily pocketing the cash, but now she's 40 and she's living out of a suitcase and she's not really having, like some stability. So her classmates had labeled her most likely to be single. So clearly, she has a personality that does not sort of connect with other people. But then a 12-year-old girl tracks her down during a brief visit back to Philadelphia and informs Sky that she's the child of her egg donation. Can you imagine? I mean, I can because this happened to a friend of mine, but yes. And I have another friend who's a surrogate mom, so I get it. But anyway, things get even more complicated when Sky realizes that the woman she tried and failed to pick up the other day is this girl's aunt, and now it's super awkward. Love this cover, love this premise. I think it would be a great fun, fairly quick read. And I've never read anything by Mia Mackenzie before. She has written The Summer We Got Free, and she created Black Girl Dangerous Media, which is an independent media and education project that centers around queer Black women and girls. And she lives in Western Massachusetts. So I'm excited about this new author, book I don't remember at all, ready to go with that. And then my delight came when I realized I won a Goodreads giveaway again. I won an advanced copy of The Midnight Knock by John Fram. And this is coming out in October, so I'm going to read it and come back and tell you about it. But here's all I want you to know about this. It's set in Texas. It's a lonely roadside motel, and Ian and Hunter have left behind a corpse, a fire, and a horrific act of violence. Kyla and Fernanda are fleeing for the border, and Stanley and his granddaughters are returning from Mexico with a mysterious man pursuing them. All of them are on the run. All of them are hiding something. So I'm sitting in my car. I had gotten the mail before I left, and I'm waiting for my partner because we're going to have lunch, and we have two cars. And so I'm sitting there, and I think I'm going to open this up. I knew what it was because I had been told I was going to get this giveaway. So I open it up, I start looking at the synopsis, and I realize that there are these little faint gray lines on the spine, well, not on the spine, on the edges of this book. Do you see them? Maybe not. They're very, very light. And so I start to look. So when I first look, there's this photo, and then it says Part 1, Deja Vu. And then I go to the other gray line to see which this one is called, and it's called Part 1, Deja Vu. And then you can imagine I go to the third part as well, same motel page, Part 1, Deja Vu. So we're going to be able to follow these people, each of their stories, I guess, and then we're going to see how they maybe intertwine. I can't wait. I just can't wait. I'm so happy about this. Now, my library borrows for this month. I borrowed a few others that I did another video about, so I'm not going to talk about those. And two of those I've already returned, so stay tuned for that video. It's a try a chapter video. But then I went to the library because I had put a book on hold and it came available, and I knew I had to snatch it up because the hold was long, and that is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I have been wanting to read this. I talked about it in Most Anticipated, and it is a space-related novel, which I love, space travel and space shuttles and those kinds of things. It's set in 1980, and it's really about Joan and some other candidates who are preparing for these space flights. And Joan finds a love she never imagined, and then everything changes in an instant. And I've talked about it before, but that's all I'm going to say. This was a Good Morning America book club read, and everybody loves it. In fact, when the girl in my library brought it to me, she said, "Oh, you're going to love this." And I said, "I can't wait. I know I'm going to love this." She's trying to get her daughter to read it, but I think this will be great. And I like Taylor Jenkins Reid. I haven't read all of her books in any stretch, and I don't know that I will, but I like her a lot. This one I've had on my list for a bit. I talked about it as well. Woodworking, Emily St. James. This is about an instructor, no, teacher at a high school and a young girl. So the young girl's name is Erica. No, the teacher's name is Erica, 35 years old, divorced and trans. No one knows, though, that she's trans, but she's keeping to herself teaching, and Abigail Hawkes enters into her orbit. And Abigail is 17, very open. She's really like queer. Like there, nobody can say that girl might be queer because she is, right? Abigail is just a very different generation. But she also wants to help her teacher because she knows now that her teacher is struggling with her transition. So she starts to try to support her, and an unlikely friendship evolves. And I think I got this on Kindle, but I'm not sure. But since they had it and it was there, I wanted to support my library and check it out. Will I get to it in September with all the other things on my list? Probably not, but you never know. This one I grabbed because here's the deal. I found this on sale the other day and it's really cheap. It's like $9.50 or something on Amazon. I don't know that it'll stay that way very long because I can't imagine why it's so cheap. Hardcover. But I'm not buying any books until September 1. So I grabbed it at the library in case I can't get it for $9.50, but also because I want to support my library, and also because I'm actually going to try a few of these short stories to see if I actually want to spend the $9.50. How many times did I just say actually? Do y'all remember? Sleeping. They're all sleeping. Okay, so this one again is about a number of short stories, and apparently they are dark. He says in the synopsis, he says, Stephen King says, "You like it darker? Fine, so do I." 12 stories, darker part of life, metaphorically and literally. Master of horror. So this one is a sequel to Cujo, which is what really has me intrigued. It's called Rattlesnakes. And there's one called The Dreamers, where a Vietnam vet answers a job ad and learns that there are some corners of the universe best left unexplored. I'm not going to go into all of them, but I do want to give at least one a chance, probably the Cujo one, and then I'll know for sure if I want to buy that and if it's still on sale then, which is of course the other question. An author I've read before, it's the second in a series, and I haven't read the first one because I didn't even know this one existed. This came out last August 2024. It has a 3.80 rating, and this is Talking to Strangers by Fiona Barton. And this is the Ellie, is it Ellie or Ella? Elise. It's not even either one. Elise King, series number 2. Elise King is a detective, but she's just been through chemotherapy, so she's trying to recover from that. And to be honest, it's causing her some side effects, which include memory loss or lapses of memory. So she's kind of frustrated by that. And then there is a body that's found. Karen Simmons's body is found in the woods, and Elise suspects she was killed by a man she met online. It's kind of a dating app situation here that's a theme in more than one book. And so she was everywhere, and people are saying it's her own fault because she was constantly dating on these apps. But other people are coming together to say this isn't right, and violence against women is just terrible. So Kiki Nunn is a news reporter, news gatherer. There's almost always a detective and a news gatherer in Fiona Barton's novels. She sometimes stirs up trouble for Elise, but she won't relent. She's worried about her own daughter's life and how she will grow up and to how she will be treated in their community. So Kiki is hell-bent on discovering the truth. Will I get to this one in September? I don't know, but I'm glad to know about it. I'm going to mark it as to read, and we'll see where it goes. But again, if I just supported my library by taking out 3 or 4 books, then I'm happy to have done it. That is it. That is the wrap up of my haul for August 2025. I hope you enjoyed this, and let me know in the comments below If you have read any of these books, if these authors are your favorites, which ones you've maybe never heard of as well, which ones you're looking forward to in the next couple of months, whatever you want to tell me is also good. So if you'd like to not leave a comment, but leave an emoji, let's make it something space related since I'm so excited about the Taylor Jenkins read. So, I'll watch for those. I can't wait to see what you think and if you've read any of these books. And as always, happy reading. Bye.